Okay, welcome to Humphries Archery, Salt Lake City, Utah location, new one for us this year. We have three in Utah now and another one in Pueblo, Colorado, so 4 locations. Anyway, coming from Salt Lake City, we just got our brand new Halon, Mathews HALON in today, and this is the 6-inch, and it's so new that I brought the cheat sheet with me because I don't know it, we literally just pulled it out of the box. So this is the new Halon 6. It's a 30-inch axle to axle with a 6-inch brace height. We're going to set it at 30 inches on its draw so that we can do the IBO specs. So for those of you that don't understand IBO, the industry standard that they use for speed is IBO, and that formula breaks down into a 30-inch draw length at 70 pounds with a 350 grain arrow. So we're going to go ahead and put this bow to exactly those specs. Now, this is going to be a quick out-of-the-box review. We're not going to go through and diagnose everything and draw stroke and draw curve and everything, but we just want to give you a real quick synopsis. I have personally been waiting for a bow like this from Mathews for a long time. I've loved their Monster series. The Chill R is still one of my all-time favorite bows. So to have this bow come out, the HTR came out last year and I felt like it fell maybe a little bit off of the specs of what I was hoping for a Western dealer. But this is specking, if it'll come across to what these say, we're going to be in a really good situation. So just so everybody knows, the cam system on this is different than what you're seeing on the Chill R. In a sense, it's kind of the same, but you're seeing more of what we saw in the HTR last year. So you're seeing this bigger race assembly that has a bearing that's offset inside of it. So it's basically 2 bearings with a bearing that's offset. So it's kind of like our old school cam systems that used to just lobe. So it allows, Mathews has timed this cam system into this cam system, which allows you to kind of get a cam inside of a cam, so to speak. So the draw curve on this bow should be very impressive. The HTR last year, I liked their draw stroke. It actually was a really smooth bow and it shoots phenomenal. Came a little bit off the numbers of what we were hoping for, but I love the new ergonomics of the look of this riser. It looks a lot like what we saw last year in the Wake. So the Wake last year, it was a great bow, still is a great bow. It's just a little heavy for, I think, a lot of guys that want to pack it on the mountain. It's a 35-inch axle to axle, 5-inch brace height, so it's a fairly aggressive bow. This is going to be a little bit more along the lines, I think, of what guys are used to here in the West. So we've got a 6-inch brace height, 30-inch axle to axle, and we've got those big wide pockets. So again, we're going to run into that same scenario on the presses where you're going to have to spread out your fingers on the press as far as you can in order to keep the inside of this. Now, my hat goes off to Mathews. This is one of the greatest things. I wish every bow manufacturer would do this, to put these little cradles in the top of the limb that allows us to push it beyond parallel and not have to worry about a bow going out of the bottom of the press. Plus, if you ever have to take a bow apart, those allow it to cradle in and out and rotate back and forth without rolling over the top of the limb and having a chance of shoving something out the bottom of the press. So that's a phenomenal design. So anyway, let's get to work. Let's put a rest on it. We're going to put a drop away rest on it so we don't get any friction or drag on the arrow. I've already removed the monkey tails because I know people are like, take off the monkey tails, you'll get blah blah. So we're going to put a peep in it, just like you're going to hunt with. We're going to put a string loop on it, just like you're going to hunt with. So we're going to run a hunting arrow through it. We're going to run a 350 grain arrow through it, so you get both the practical number of what the IBO says it should be, and what the hunting realism is. So I'm excited, folks. We've been waiting a long time for this bow, and I think Mathews is going to. We'll see, but I think they've knocked it out of the park on this design.
So we're a touch heavy, 4 grains.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and tune it. Instead of using the 350 grain arrow, we're gonna go ahead and tune it with the 350 spine Maxima. So just so we got the spine right for what we're gonna be shooting with the bow. So we're not tuning it with a super light arrow. So a little bit of a right tear. Grab the arrow. Okay, so I'm going to tell you right off the get-go, I do like the draw stroke. It rolls over really easy. You don't have a hard wall on that, a hard peak to try to get over it. It does have a nice smooth draw stroke. Booyah! So that's good enough. Let's just see for giggles how this 350 will shoot. This is a gold tip 22 series. It's the only arrow we got in here that's light enough. Yeah, we got a slight right tear, but that's all right. Okay, so now comes the real test. Let's run it through the chronograph and see what we get speed-wise. So now remember, we want to see the bow should be speccing. So at a 75% mod is where the bow is rated at 345 feet per second. At the 85% mod, it's rated at 343. So we should see, let's be honest, if we can see 335, I'm going to be excited because we never hit exactly what they're supposed to hit. So if we can hit 335 with a 350 grain arrow, that will be awesome. So 355 or 354 grain arrow, 30-inch draw length, 70 pounds, and we're running an 85% mod. IBO is claiming 343. $338. Hey, I'm tickled pink with that. That's awesome. So I brought a hunting arrow out, just so that everybody could see what the reality speed is going to be. At a 30-inch draw length, you're going to need to be at least a minimum of 400 grains. So this is a 422 grain arrow. So I shoot a 600 grain arrow. Some people shoot a 350 grain arrow, or I mean a 400 grain arrow, but most guys are going to be between 420 at a 30-inch draw length and 450. So let's go ahead and put a regular, just a hunting arrow on it and see what kind of speeds we can get out of this. $313. That's awesome. So 422 grain arrow, 30-inch draw length, 70 pounds with an 85% mod, hunting arrow at 313 feet per second. You folks that are shooting a slider, that's good news. We've been waiting a long time for this, for one of these from Mathews. So this is I'm excited. Folks, Mathews has knocked it out of the park. Let's give them a round of applause for their HALON series. Now, we haven't shot the 5. We don't have a 5 yet. We just barely got this in today. So they offer this in a 5 and a 7 and a 6. So this is kind of right in between the two. So they're claiming 350 something on the 5. I want to say like 355, and then 345 on the 6, and then 330s on 335, I think, on the 7. So anyway, get into your local Mathews dealer. Come see us. Salt Lake.